We have been very happy with I think everyone going through the program has been very happy with the outcomes. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. You'll see nothing lacking from our end. We're there to help you with anything and everything. Okay, so please reach out, call, email, okay? If we need to bring you in, we'll bring you in. I'll be seeing you at scheduled times along the way. We'll set that up as we go along. And then if we need to touch base on the phone, we will. Tana will be calling you, or you call her, and I need everybody to work that out. Once a week, we want to kind of touch base as to how things are going and if there's any issues that we can help iron out. Okay, that way we get, I think, most effective, kind of use of our time, and we make the most progress. So the binder has a bunch of information in it, and I will have you go through sections of the binder at a time. You don't need to read the whole thing at once, and you don't want to. It's too overwhelming. It's not a novel. It's more like a textbook. So if we go through it in little pieces, I think you'll find that it will be most beneficial to you. And then I think Tana is gonna.
You're just gonna take one of these and pass it down.
Pass it down.
Yes. Please.
Take one.
Take one. You get to keep one.
You can have one.
I thought it was a whole thing.
All right. Schedule. Everybody has one?
Does everybody have a schedule for the classes for this month? No?
If we do.
We can, yeah. Another one. We have copies. Do you want two?
No, we can
Okay.
share.
Does anybody else need one?
I better have another one at home. It's the same as what you emailed, right?
I'm sorry.
Yes, it should be the same one
Yes.
that you
Ours
got
is at
emailed.
home
We
now.
haven't changed any dates
You
yet.
want them?
Get the show
Sure.
anybody out yet.
No, we haven't changed any dates.
Yeah, put one in.
Everything is the
Okay.
same.
Oh, she has one, so I shouldn't take one, right?
You can if you like to.
We make copies for everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're covered.
We have one for
I
Sue.
want one for
Here, I'll leave a class schedule for you too.
The classes, as you'll notice, are in a couple of different locations. This is one major location, and then the cooking class is not here because we don't have a functional kitchen. So that's going to be down in Jackson, and you have the address, I believe, down there. Yes. The grocery tour is going to be at Giant Eagle, that's around the corner here. So that should be nice and close. And I think everything else is pretty much here. So we're blessed to have this conference room.
Where's Giant Eagle? Here?
around the corner.
It's just around the corner. It's real close.
Which corner?
You know where the-
Do we go there first or come here first?
You'll go there. You'll go straight
Oh.
there. Yeah, we'll guide you. We'll give you, we'll get your directions as we get closer.
Okay.
Okay. Tana, you want to describe the documentary thing?
Okay, so she has 4 documentaries she wants you to watch. 2 of them you can get on Netflix. I don't know if everybody has Netflix or not. And then for the rest of them, I did put links. Some of them, there's more than one link. But you can access all of them online or on Netflix. So,
If you, a lot of libraries will also carry these kind of documentaries. If you have trouble accessing, please let us know. But I think, 3 out of the 4 are on YouTube?
yeah, there's links for 3 of them, and then the other 2 are on Netflix, so.
So if you just search it on YouTube, we'll come up with all kinds of different ones. Some of them are the full documentary, some are not. So you want to access the full documentary. That is part of the homework, okay? Watching the movies. They do an excellent job. I'll kind of summarize a little bit. Food matters. The foundation of that, basically, the foundational concept is that food has a big impact on health. We live in a culture where we don't really acknowledge that. We just keep pumping all kinds of processed foods into our body that won't rot on the shelf for a year and a half, and we expect to be able to digest them and assimilate them. And you know, if the mold can't digest it, it's not going to be easy for our GI tracts to do the same. So this will kind of explain what is really important about food and the direct impact it has on health. We want whole foods, ideally food in the way God created it, so it was made by a plant, not in a plant, right? That's what we're going to go for. So Food Matters would probably be the first one that I would encourage you to watch. Okay. Food Inc. Food Inc. talks about how our agricultural system works. That one is more of a nightmare. That one really, really can be very distressing. So probably not a good one for grandkids to be watching with you. Okay. But I think it's important. I think it's important for us to know how this all happens. You know, the chicken doesn't just present as chicken breasts. It comes from somehow, and it's handled certain ways. So we want to know that. Some of that we're going to go through in different parts of this, through the binder as well, you'll learn about.
Will it make you never want to eat chicken again?
It depends. Depends on the kind of chicken. The next documentary I would encourage you to watch is the one that's called Genetic Roulette. Genetic Roulette is about genetically modified foods. The same author, journalist, filmmaker is making another one that he's in the process of putting together. And it is also, I think, very, very informative. It's interesting now that the company that was really leading this genetically modified movement, making Roundup and all the genetically modified plants that are, you know, not susceptible to it, that company's merging with Bayer now. There's been a lot of negative press in this country against Monsanto, and so the name is just going to disappear. Same stuff is going to continue, but it's just going to be under another umbrella with Bayer. So that's not necessarily a good thing. I think a lot of people wanted to see things like GMO labeling become a requirement, and rather than it fall into the, you know, where they don't have to disclose things. So, you know, those are all things that once we're educated, we want that decision. Do we want genetically modified foods? Most people don't understand what GMO foods are. Can I have a show of hands for who knows what that is? All right. So
Sort of.
Sort of. Okay. So just kind of in a nutshell, a genetically modified food is a food which has undergone the process of gene splicing. They've taken a foreign gene that isn't a plant gene or an animal gene. It's usually some kind of a bacterial gene, and they have inserted it into the genome of the plant. So when you just take it, and they don't have a direct sequence. You know, technology is not at the point where you say, okay, between this genetic sequence and that genetic sequence, we're going to insert this genetic sequence. They just kind of throw it at the DNA, and it finds its way somewhere in there. Now, that process might disrupt the genes that are there. It might disrupt which genes get activated. It might disrupt, you know, tumor suppressor genes versus tumor activation genes. We don't know. The bottom line is nobody knows. And yet this stuff is in the market, and this stuff is in all of our meals, every meal. And we don't know the long-term consequences. We just know that over time, we're getting a lot more cancers, we're getting a lot more allergies, we're getting a lot more autoimmune conditions. And so, you know, what part does that have to play with it? Nobody's proven it. Nobody wants to prove it. The second problem with GMOs, aside from a foreign gene, the consequences of which we don't know, is that genes are not just in the plants. Once we eat the plants, the genes actually set up housekeeping, that's been demonstrated, in the microbiome in our gut, the little bacteria that live as part of us. So then we're constantly exposed to the product of that gene, and if that creates some inflammatory protein, we've got a nonstop inflammatory sequence within our own gut. And so that can potentially cause permanent issues. Other issues with GMOs include things like, because the number one reason or the number one type of genetic modification that happens is that they make the plant resistant to Roundup, right? Everybody knows what Roundup is. So they can spray down, they can hose down the plants, the fields of corn, soy, what have you, and Roundup, with Roundup, and the Roundup will not destroy those plants. It will kill all the weeds. So now we're not only eating this foreign protein, but we're eating a ton of Roundup that was sprayed on these plants. So that, and the Roundup is officially now a probable carcinogen. And you know, that's a big toxic concern as well.
Is that the stated purpose for gene splitting then, to be resistant to pesticides?
That's the number one to herbicides and pesticides. That's why they do it.
What was the question again?
The number one reason for why they do this, why do they genetically modify plants?
Profit.
Well, of course, the bottom line is profit. But in the process, that's what's happening. So in any event, so that moves that documentary.
What's the number one pesticide?
The number one
People are
pesticide.
using to-
I don't know, you tell me.
Gets taken into the plant.
The number one pesticide. I
I
don't
know that there's pesticides that they're using that are actually absorbed by the plant.
Yes,
And then when the bug eats the plant, the bug dies
yes, yes.
instead of
Yes.
getting nutrients.
And they're actually putting these genetically into the plants. Some plants normally make pesticides, right? They're resistant to certain types of bacteria, so insects. But no, they're conferring that. They're injecting these genes that are not just for herbicidal effect, but for the basically pesticides, anti-pesticide as well. So yeah, they're modifying for primarily those reasons. But the bottom line is we don't know what's happening. You know, there's even genetically modified mosquitoes, genetically modified salmon. You know, we're still waiting for the first genetically modified human, but. So, you know, it's one of those things with we can do this, should we? We don't know all the ill consequences. And so we're not taking it on a precautionary principle kind of approach where we want to make sure it's safe. Just like before the FDA approves a drug, right? They're supposed to, the drug companies have to prove efficacy and safety. But unfortunately with chemicals and with the genetically modified foods, that doesn't happen. They don't have to prove safety. They choose to do what they want. So anyway, strong encouragement for that documentary as well. And the Escape Fire is the other one, and that kind of talks about our broken healthcare system. So, little embarrassing to be a part of that healthcare system, but I do kind of consider myself a bit of an outsider and an outlier. But yeah, so those 4 documentaries we're going to encourage you to watch as part of this. And kind of at each class, we will give you some homework. For example, tonight's homework will be to read that first tab in the binder. Tonight or until the next class happens. Okay? So, and they won't all go in sequence. We'll kind of base it based on how we're orienting our classes and stuff. So, so I'd like for everybody to get through the intro part. All right?
Is there a timetable for that you want us to watch these 4 documentaries?
I would say that Food Matters within the first week or so would be a good time. So kind of 1 a week would be fine. Okay? And so if you want to pass this out. This is something that, you know, writing things out makes them clearer in our heads. And so you guys are all here for a couple of reasons. Everybody has a reason for being here. Not just you want to go back to school and be a part of that, but you're here for a reason. And this kind of asks you to record, why are you? What is your reason? What is your goal? What do you hope to achieve? So then as we fold up, and as we're kind of going along, I want to make sure we're progressing in this direction. So I'd like for everybody to fill this out in our next appointment, if you would bring that with you so we can kind of discuss that, and then keep that in your binders, because I'd like for you to kind of reflect on that as we go along, okay? And then we have another one to give you. This is called a self-care questionnaire, designed by Institute of Functional Medicine. And this kind of talks about what are the kind of things you do to take care of yourself. And what we want to do is get a baseline on this. So in the next couple of days, if you'll fill this out, and then I'll encourage you to bring that to our first visit as well. And we'll take a look at that, and then we'll fill one out at the end as well and see if you have changed any of those practices. Okay? And again, as I said, the more you take the time, everything that I have put together, trust me, is based on 20 plus years of study in all kinds of fields, postgraduate study after my residency. And so everything there is strong scientific evidence for. So not asking you to do things to waste your time. These really will impact the kind of result that we achieve. And then the next thing is, at the beginning of the program, sometimes it's useful to get a baseline picture. And I would encourage everybody to do this at home, is take some selfies, kind of frontal view, side view, and then at the end of 6 and 12 months, I would encourage you to kind of repeat that process and see if it has changed. Okay? You're hoping that it's going to change a lot. Okay? So that's something you can keep personal, and you don't have to share if you don't so choose. But I would encourage everybody to do that. Okay? We will be, we have, I think, most everybody has undergone a bioimpedance analysis, which kind of measures your percent body fat and cellular mass, your percent kind of hydration status. We've done that already, so we'll be doing that towards the end as well. So we'll kind of get an objective, high-tech view of that as well. Okay.
Was that done with blood work, or?
That was that little BIA, which they put the little probes on your wrist, electrodes on your wrist and on your ankle.
I didn't have that.
We didn't
Okay,
have that.
then we will do that at your first visit.
All right.
Everybody kind of came at a different time with the blood work, so sometimes we got it. If we didn't get it, we will get it at your first visit. Okay? So that's kind of a helpful baseline. The only thing you want to remember is, if we're going to do that, if you know you haven't had it and we're going to do it at your appointment, it's ideal to, eat 4 hours before?
Don't eat within 4 hours.
Within 4 hours. Have plenty of water, keep yourself hydrated. Okay? So that's that. You don't have to be fasting overnight or anything like that. All right? Okay. So I'm going to get Anila to go over.
If you do
the
it
next
in the morning,
section.
they give you a nice shake on the way out.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
Got to take all the perks you can get.
That's right.
A few other, homework assignments we're going to have you guys do is to
A little
schedule
bit louder.
schedule 15 minutes once a week to write and think about gratitude. So, gratitude is something that, it's a concept, around Thanksgiving we say, what are we grateful for? But really we should be asking that every day. And so we're just asking you once a week to kind of take 10 to 15 minutes to write about this. It can be something like a person in your life. It can be some event that happened. And as you do this, it's been shown to increase well-being, just your sense of mood increases, your relationships with others. So it's a really positive kind of way you can just increase your overall health. Just this simple step. So that's one thing we'll have you do. And then next we're going to have you do kind of a daily protocol. So every day we'll have you drink about 50 to 60 ounces of water daily.
Some people don't.
So that's 6 to 8 ounce, 6 to 8 ounce glasses, which is a pretty normal amount for us. And then we'll have you do this thing called the daily drink 3 times a day. So that's actually a recipe found, is she passing out? Or is
Yeah,
it in the
and,
binder?
yeah, I think it's in there, and it's included in there.
Okay.
It's in the binder.
So it's in the binder. So this essentially, it contains unsweetened organic cranberry juice, water, lemon juice, and then apple cider vinegar, which is optional. That adds extra digestive benefits, but if you can't tolerate the taste, it is kind of tart.
You're doing just a little bit.
Yeah, it's very
Half
little.
to 1 teaspoon.
So test it out, experiment what you like. You can also use pomegranate juice if you prefer that. And so the exact ingredients are in your binder in that recipe, but that's a great detox. I use that every day. I drink it and I'm in love with it. So I've kept it. It helps, flush out the system. It's good for the kidneys, liver function as well. It decreases sugar cravings, which is a big thing as well. So it's very useful.
And it's tasty.
Yes, and it's tasty. And then,
Can I say one thing about that drink, because I've been doing it?
oh sure.
The flaxseed doesn't mix.
Yeah,
We agree. We
right.
kind of tend to leave that as, you can put it in there. Some people can deal with that. Most of us would prefer the flaxseed in a shake or on your salad or, whatever you're eating. You can mix that in. Absolutely. We agree.
And when you buy the cranberry juice, try to get organic if you can, and unsweetened is the biggest part. Because otherwise you'll see 20 plus grams of sugar. So you want to get unsweetened. You can also get the cranberry juice concentrate, which is it's about this big of a bottle, but it saves some money because you don't need as much.
Like a tablespoon probably.
Yeah, about a tablespoon.
When you mean unsweetened, you mean unsweetened with apple juice and other fruit juice, or
It
just?
should just be pure cranberry juice.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's a cranberry juice concentrate, which is basically concentrate cranberry juice. Should have no added other juices
Okay.
and no added sugar. That's what you want to go for. So we just want a little bit of cranberry. Yes, that's going to have a little bit of sugar, but that much is okay. We're going to do with that. Okay. But you will find that tasty. A little bit of apple cider vinegar, I think most people do okay with. If you don't like that, you can leave that out and do the lemon juice and the cranberry and the water.
Yeah, and since we're having you drink it 3 times a day, it helps to make it in a large pitcher. Then you can have it for a few days.
It tastes better too, after it's been
After
refrigerated.
it's been
After
and it mixed
it's
together.
yeah.
Yeah, there's somebody who's been doing it.
Very nice. All right.
When you set a glass, what ounce are you talking about for the water and the
About
juice?
8.
8
Yeah.
ounces.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then as we mentioned, the ground flax seeds, we'll have you do 2 tablespoons a day. Like she said, either in shakes, oatmeal, salads, you can put it on even. So that's great, fiber source for digestion as well. And then
You have a detailed handout that details the importance of flax, okay? I think it's in this, if you will take a look at that. And I like to provide that because I don't want to just tell you do this and then you're like, why are we doing this? Because you need to understand. The bottom line is you want to do things because of a reason and you want to understand that reason. And that will tend to make you want to do it. So that's really key, is to understand why. And aside from the fiber benefit, the lignans in there are also extremely useful for us. An uncommon person can have trouble with the flax, but 90+% of us tolerate it and are benefited by it. It also, of course, is a source of omega-3 fatty acids. And if for some reason it has a reverse effect on you and causes constipation, then you stop it and we find other alternatives.
So then we'll also have you doing an AM and PM stretch. So every time you wake up in the morning and then before you go to bed. These are often times that, our body waking up, we're kind of tight and tense from sleeping all night, being in the same position, and then before going to bed from all the activities during the day. So those are in the binder as well.
Yeah.
Are they in that packet?
They are in the binder.
Okay.
The first tab section has all these things we're talking about. The drink is in there. Okay, so between this that she's just handed out, this handout here, the changes to start now, between that and the first tab, everything we're talking about today is in there.
Yep.
there are 2 pictorials of the exercises, okay? So for the advanced folks, there's the first one.
There's ones that are on the ground.
These are on the ground exercises, and they're more challenging. For the beginner yogis, there are the chair exercises, which follow that page. So if you turn past that picture,
Yeah, so that's the ones on the ground.
you'll have the chair stretches.
Yeah, those are chair, and they're very nice. I've done chair yoga. It's wonderful. It's very effective.
So which one are you recommending? Both?
It depends on a person's level. If you are someone who has done yoga and is very flexible, do the first set.
You can do a combination too.
Right, and you
like
pick
someone that's
what
very-
your body wants and what your body, where your body is at that point in time. So take a look at the exercises, the ones that look like, oh, I don't, if I sit on the ground, I'm going to get back up. You don't want to do that one. Okay, then stick with the chair ones. Every time a dog or a cat gets up, they stretch. What do? We just get up and run. Right? So they know things that we don't know. So it's a short stretch. You don't have to take long to do it. But if you do it before going to bed, and if you do it when you first wake up, you can go run to the bathroom first and come back for your stretches. You will find it extremely beneficial. You got to keep the body flexible. It's the key to minimizing injuries. So doing that little stretch in the morning, little stretch in the evening, and you can, obviously the longer you do, the better. But even a 3 to 5 minute routine in the morning and at bedtime is going to be extremely beneficial. Do those look like they're pretty self-explanatory? Everybody's looked at those? We have a yoga teacher here, so she can demonstrate if there's any question on it. Absolutely, absolutely. So,
The first.
when I used to have bad headaches, my initial thing was go for a massage, okay, that would help. And when the massages quit working, then I had to go to yoga.
Yeah.
So what you do on your own flexibility is more powerful. So massage is great. I mean, they feel good, they're relaxing. But in terms of the value of a stretch, what you do on your own is tremendous. And then you do it on a regular basis. Once we break our 20s, flexibility just gradually starts to go down. We have an inversion table at home. We love hanging upside down. Yeah, it is.
I was hoping to get to 6 foot, but it's not working.
It doesn't do that. I haven't grown a bit, still 5'1". But, it really helps. It helps the neck. For me, that's my bad area is neck and shoulders. That really helps. For my husband, it's his back. And so that's kind of our, at least once a day, we go down to the basement and hang on the thing.
My grandmother used to have one of those.
Yeah.
She
And they're
used it
not
all the
very
time.
expensive. They're like $200 or something. So if your knees and hips are such that you can suspend, you're just suspending on your own weight, basically. The yogis, they can stand upside down on their head. Most of us can't do that. And so for us, that inversion table is kind of the next best answer.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And yeah, if you have any questions on those stretches, you can send Tina an email, or if you are looking through them now and there's any questions on, I can demonstrate. But I think the biggest lesson, make sure when you're stretching, like anything, you don't want to collapse. It's not good for the back, the shoulders. You want to always extend for those kind of stretches. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. Cat-cow, there is that arching, but for the most part, you want to extend. You want to keep the chest forward, the heart lifted, as they say in yoga. So those are just some tips.
And you can do cat-cow in a chair, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on the
Yeah, I don't know if it's on there, but I mean, you just shrug the shoulders and then you bring the chest up if everybody wants to try it. So, and in chair yoga, the biggest thing too, you want to sit actually towards the edge of your chair. You don't want to be using the back support because that actually makes us kind of slouch a little bit. So you want to be sitting up nice and tall, and then you'll kind of grip the edge of your chair. And for the cat position, you'll just shrug the shoulders, sink the belly in. The neck is soft, so don't strain the neck. And then for cow, you're pulling those shoulder blades back, you're bringing the chest forward, and you're looking up. So it's a beautiful way to do cat-cow as well.
posture is another key thing. And in yoga, they say that you should always sit or stand as if you're suspended from a string coming out of the top of your head. And most of us are like this. They're like, no. Makes a huge impact as we age. Makes a huge impact on what happens to the neck and back. Ultimately, you get to this point, and then you can't straighten your neck. You can't straighten the shoulders. It just leads to bad headaches and pain. Osteoporosis. Absolutely. We want to prevent all that stuff. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so in addition to the stretching, we want you to do some kind of steps to serenity. And these are outlined in the binder as well. There's a serenity section, actually. So we'll have you do some deep breathing, and we'll practice this here now so you can kind of get the hang of it. There's this beautiful practice of breath. It's called the 4-7-8 breath. And so there's a reason for each of the numbers and the duration, but a big key here with the breathing is you want the exhale to be longer than the inhale. That triggers the parasympathetic relaxation response when that exhale is longer. When the inhale is longer, that actually leads to more of like a hyperventilation state. A lot of people who have anxiety tend to get into that kind of breathing. So we'll have you do this 3 times a day. You can do it once in the morning, once midday, and once in the evening. And then you'll gradually be able to continue and incorporate imagery, which we'll talk about as well. So we'll practice this, a lot of people who like to meditate, they like to close their eyes, kind of bring that attention inward. So if you'd like, you can close your eyes, or you can just focus on a point in front of you. Just going to draw that energy inside. So I'll instruct you on the breath. So we're going to inhale to a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, now at first it seems impossible. Okay, so you can also count faster, and
Yes.
you do what you can. The idea is to strive to that. And so there's a couple of benefits of doing this. One, obviously, is giving you a longer exhalation. It's giving you a deep breath. And it's also making you focus on your breath, which means you are not thinking about 10 other things, which is what meditation is. It's basically focusing on one thing and letting all the other thoughts away. So triple benefit to this. This particular practice, start by just doing 3 of these breaths at a time, and then build up to where you do 8 at a time, a couple of times a day. It's been shown to lower blood pressure. Okay? Not just while you're breathing, but to lead to a sustainable drop in blood pressure. So this truly does increase that parasympathetic nervous system activity. And so we definitely would encourage you to do that. And again, it's something you can do anytime. You don't have to close your eyes, so you can be doing it while you're up. And anytime if you're frazzled, it also is a good thing to kind of do. Just really helps you to recenter and refocus. But just a couple of things.
Yeah, a big key here too with the deep breathing is it's increasing the oxygen to your brain. So you're getting better concentration, focus. Oxygen is huge in health. In the blood as well. So, okay, imagery too. I believe in that Serenity section of the binder, I provided several links on relaxation and guided imagery. And when you first do imagery, it can be difficult to just imagine something in your head. Even just people say, imagine a meadow or a beach. And for some, that's hard. We're not all visual learners per se. So with guided imagery, it's a lot more helpful. That's what I did when I started, and I still do some guided imagery. So those can be anywhere from, you can find ones that are 2 minutes in length, 5, 10, 20 minutes. So those are great as well to do, morning or evening.
So these are recordings that kind of basically take you through a relaxation setup. And so it's a very good practice. If you can give yourself 15 minutes in the evening to do something like that, the benefits are tremendous. You know, in this society, we just don't do it. And we pay the price.
Okay, the next one of my favorite things, it's laughing 3 times daily for 1 minute. So,
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum. You think about laughter and you think about the number of times like a child will laugh during the day. You probably can't even count. You know, they're always laughing. It's great to be around them. It's contagious. And you think about probably for us, we probably laugh, you know, at most 10 times. That's like maximum, but I would say 3 to 5 times a day, which is kind of sad. Laughter is a huge way to relieve stress, boost positivity. It's really powerful. There's a thing even called laughter yoga, which not a lot of yogis are familiar with. It started in India, and it's all about bringing the natural laughter out of us. It's not like stretches per se, but you do all these laughter exercises, and they're just great at stimulating. And so one thing too, Dr. Kier will say, you know, if you don't feel like laughing, just start laughing, and you'll keep laughing. It's kind of an interesting concept.
And you know it's contagious.
Yes.
Do you want to demonstrate a little bit?
So, okay, I'll pick one. So in the beginning, you know, the first time I teach laughter yoga to any class, it's like the first 1 or 2 people are kind of questionable and they're looking at me strange or it's awkward, but, you know, I've learned just over the years not to mind. So one I did a while back, so I did it last time and no one followed, so it was a little hard. But essentially, okay, I'll snort really loud, and then people just start snorting, like your best snort, and then we'll see how much laughter we can make. So,
She's a good snorter.
why are you laughing? Okay.
Anybody else? Good.
It's pretty good.
In his sleep. There you go.
So, I mean, with these, you know, and I used to be able to snort jingle bells in high school, so I was in practice. But, you know, you really have to let loose, and, you know, I think if you do it with family, friends, it's great. During our Stress to Serenity class, I'll lead a laughter yoga workshop, kind of like maybe 15-20 minutes, and we'll really get into it and get some great results. Like there have been people leaving, you know, your stomach, your abs are sore from laughing so hard.
It's good ab exercise.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably do an ab workout just laughing.
My mother was in a nursing home for rehab, and they were in a large room, and all these people in wheelchairs, and somebody came in and was laughing with them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was silly, you know, I didn't think it was anything, but now I understand what's behind it.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, I could do that.
Do you want to get up and demonstrate a couple
That's
things?
all they would go.
Tana and I will join you. Okay. All right. It's like impromptu. Yeah. Impromptu. Come on. It's the best way.
They were. That's
You want to Yeah. We'll just stand up today. For the Serenity class, everybody will be involved. Okay. What do we
want to
do?
do your very good.
Okay, I'll do the very good.
Okay. So, yeah, how we begin, like, you know, I did one, I'll pick several different types of exercises I want to do. So right now I'm pulling them off the spot, so give me just a second. So we can do...
Can I do my favorite?
Yeah, what's your...
Penguin.
Okay, yeah. So penguin laughter. So you basically impersonate a penguin and you waddle like a penguin, make penguin.
She likes to do this.
How are you?
Who's got the best penguin?
So, you know, we start and then, let's see, what's another good one? So I learned one from a last workshop. So you'll go up to a person and like you'll pretend like you touch him and then you get an electric shock. Okay. So you can make a noise from it. It's like scary.
Don't attack him. So you don't need a reason to laugh. In fact, if you start laughing, you start getting happy. So you don't have to be happy to laugh. It works backwards as well. You know, we laugh when we're happy, but if we laugh, we become happy. So it's one of those things. So don't feel like it, just make yourself laugh. Our grandpa has one of the best laughters, right?
Yes.
Because she tells him that, and he's been, my mom passed away earlier this year, and so it's been really rough for him. So he just doesn't laugh, you know, you just don't hear it. And it's like, Dad, your granddaughter thinks you're the best laughter in the world, you gotta laugh. So he'll give me a little, come on, let's do a little more.
Yeah, a good one too is like impersonating different ages. So like, I'll guide us through a kid's laughter, and then a, teen, and then an adult, and then an older person's laughter, and that's always fun. So
It's a great game, with younger kids especially, because they'll just go all over town. And if you get down there and be silly with them, then they're great. It's wonderful interaction as well. So I would say at least 3 times a day, I want you to make an active effort to laugh. Because, emotionally where we are really makes a huge impact on our health. Because we can really dampen ourselves with negative emotions, and we can really bring ourselves with positive emotions. So as you go through this process, if you have a negative attitude and or negative emotions, and all of the herbs and vitamins and supplements and exercise and drugs are just not going to work. They just don't work. The mind over the body is just such a tremendous benefit. And the imagery comes in there too, If you have a particular problem, let's say it's breathing, you have asthma, all right? You're going to focus as you breathe in, you're going to imagine those lungs opening up. You visualize that, whether it's like, a tree that, in the springtime, the leaves gradually open like you see with the time-lapse photography. Pick something that you're going to imagine, and you're going to see that happen, and you really can. I mean, you can fire up your immune cells if, with that process. So that's where that imagery is key. And, we're not asking you to spend hours a day doing this. I think everything we've given you, you can kind of fold up in 10, 15 minutes. Is that much work that we've given you for the day. But I think you'll make a huge quality. So we definitely, and we've prepared a little list of a daily routine, haven't we? That little handout that you made up. It kind of summarizes the things.
Should I just give them each
Yeah,
one,
I think so.
or-
Let's just do
Okay.
that. So on top is kind of the summary of these things we've talked about. And then underneath it is, if you like more of these, we can provide you more copies, so you can make copies, kind of a journal of your food. And sometimes,
Thank you.
if the diet or whatever is not going as we want things to be, I will ask you to keep a detailed food log, which means everything goes in your mouth, including chewing gum, has to be recorded. Because we know that can impact. Any sweet taste can impact your insulin levels. Insulin levels will impact weight loss. So that's why sometimes getting a real detailed assessment there is very useful. Underneath that, kind of, we put a section for exercise and movement and so forth, and we will be getting more into that. But first and foremost, we want you to practice the stretches. Those are the flexibility is going to be key. All right.
Question on the bone broth.
Yeah.
What time of the day?
There's no restriction. You can have it for breakfast. Okay, so it is. It's a little bit of work to make this, and you have a whole handout on the benefits of bone broth. So I think it's just like essential. I think anybody over 40 should be consuming bone broth on a daily basis. They are starting to make some powders where they've made bone broth and basically condensed it, and then you mix it in water or whatever beverage of choice with your shake. So I'm trying to seek out good products along that line. But, you can certainly get an organic chicken, bake it, eat the meat on it, and then take the bones, all the bones, and use those to make a bone broth. Okay? The benefits, in terms of your joints, your skin, and your gut are just tremendous. And it's something you want to get into kind of a daily routine. Just have a cup of bone broth every day. And it really will help those joints, and it'll help the gut inflammation as well. So I would encourage that kind of a long-term thing. I use a lot of supplements, and I'll do that initially to basically kind of meet all the deficits that have accumulated over time, so whatever deficiencies there are. But long-term, I don't want you to be popping, 20, 30 pills a day. I want to use bone broths, and I want to maybe use veggie powder, and I want you to be consuming 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And that's where you get your micronutrients.
Now, the veggie powder that we have now, does that count as a vegetable intake of a certain number of servings?
Yeah, you can.
Because I don't even see it on here.
Yeah, no, it's not on there. That, I kind of start as a beginning thing. Some people like to continue those because what that is basically a little extract of all the little micronutrients that are present in the vegetables, and they do it in a way that most of those nutrients are preserved, but it's really ideal to, you don't want to do that twice a day and then just eat French fries for your vegetables. I don't think that's the right answer. So I would say, yeah, that's good to have. If you can do it on top of what you're doing, but I would still do a bunch of vegetables during the day. A lot of people ask about how do we eat vegetables for breakfast? Because in that handout, again, the changes to start now, we tell you, start adding so many servings of vegetables at each meal. And at breakfast, we're like, what vegetable can I do? You do a lot of things, If you're eating meat or eggs, you can saute some vegetables with them. Greens you can use. Onions and tomatoes work really well as well. Okay, all kinds of serving ideas can be present. We just, just not used to that. We're used to a very limited breakfast, and most of us eat the same breakfast all the time. If you're not sensitive to eggs, eggs are a good breakfast protein. Protein shakes, I use those a lot. Okay, I don't do too much in terms of the cereals because that's just basically eating straight grains. My gut doesn't like gluten. I can watch how many grains I eat. And my blood sugar does better when I don't eat too many carbs. So for me, I want to either have a protein shake or I need some eggs. So I kind of am going to vary that. And then if I make the eggs, if I scramble them, I will put in some turmeric, right? And I will also throw in some other, whatever herbs and spices you can use, the better it is for you. They're just extremely dense with nutrients. If you kind of grow your own herbs, it's really great. Otherwise, buy organic herbs. And at the cooking class, our chef will go into detail with you a lot about that in terms of where you can find good quality spices and so forth. The more of them you throw in there. So when I go to make, scramble, if I have kale, I can chop up the kale. Just enough to just wilt it a little bit before I throw the eggs in there. And so that's a way to get your veggie in there. Onions I love red onions in my egg scrambles. So there are ways to do that. So that powder is good. It's good in its addition, but I would still encourage you to kind of aim for the 2 servings and then 3 servings per meal. If you can get into that, you'll be much better. And you want to kind of change how we decorate our plates, so to speak.
Protein shake, can you recommend where or what to get?
Yeah, we're going to, when you start the detox, we're going to give you a protein shake that you're going to be using.
Yeah.
Okay? So you'll be doing that.
Otherwise... Wait till then?
It's going to be, it won't be too long.
Okay.
Otherwise, I recommend like a rice protein.
Rice?
Rice protein. You're going to eat the eggs, so I don't think there's any point in purchasing egg protein. I think you just eat the eggs if you're not sensitive to eggs.
What about whey? That's what we
I don't like whey.
No?
My sister's a dermatologist. We were visiting recently, and I mentioned whey protein because I wanted to fatten up Dad. He's lost a lot of weight. And she looked at me and she goes, whey, we hate that stuff. And she just reacted big time. She's a dermatologist, She goes, oh, it causes horrible problems with people's skin. Okay? So why not whey? One, a lot of people are sensitive to dairy. Okay? Dairy causes a lot of upper airway inflammation and a lot of GI inflammation. Let's say you're not one of those people. Whey is still full of hormones because it's derived from milk, right? So the cow is lactating. And normally they give, unless you're buying organic, they give these cows extra hormones, genetically engineered hormones. Okay? So then You know, we're trying to cut down our estrogen exposure for many of us, and we don't really want extra hormones. If we're trying to lose weight, we don't want extra hormones either. So whey for those reasons, I tend to not recommend.
And doesn't soy milk have a lot of hormones and stuff in it too?
Right, so I don't recommend soy milk. I recommend nut milks. And then, as I said, for the protein, a pea protein is a good idea. The one that I use for kind of my daily shake is a combination of pea, rice, and hemp. Okay, and that's my favorite. It tastes really good to me. Try to get my little niece and nephew to start it because they need a little help. So the taste is good. I think they should be able to do it. So it tastes good, and it also has a lot of reasonable doses of vitamins. So I don't take a separate multivitamin. It has a reasonable amount of them.
Is it a brand that you buy already mixed that you?
That's a particular one that I use. I have at the office. The Metabolic Detox Complete, it's called. That's the best one I found, the best taste with the best contents, with the best nutrients. And I've looked at a ton. And then we use a different one for the detox because we were trying to support the liver's detoxification process with that. That's a pea-based protein, so those taste good too. You had that when you had the blood drawn and stuff. So the ones that have that, the chocolate shake, that's what that is. So that's where we want to get that. This handout. Another copy for me.
What about coconut milk?
Coconut milk is good. Coconut milk, no, the other one. Those two. Coconut milk, coconut oil. Okay, coconut oil is really good for you. That's what I cook with primarily. I don't cook with olive oil. It's
You
not
don't
quite
cook
as,
with that?
Yeah, olive oil is better raw. And then, you want to try, if you can get it in a dark glass bottle, that's the best way to get oils. So the coconut oil is very heat resistant. So that works out better for cooking. And I don't seem to mind the coconut taste. That's what I make my eggs in typically. Olive oil is, and I encourage everybody to consume a couple of tablespoons of raw olive oil. So sprinkle it on your vegetables after they're cooked. Okay, on your salad. So olive oil is a really good nutrient source, but prefer it uncooked. I think some of you have been through this dietary transitions, right? Nope. Okay, so week 1 and week 2. Let's talk about that a little bit on this handout. Week 1 says eat at least 2 servings of vegetables per meal, and we don't prefer corn and white potatoes. Yams would be okay on this list. Consume a couple of cups of bone broth per day. So I would start out doing 2 a day and then long term kind of do 1 a day, but I think 2 a day is probably going to be better. The cranberry drink, obviously you're doing. Caffeine is something, if we are looking to detoxify a person, we want alcohol and caffeine out of the picture. Not forever, but during this initial phase. They both have a big impact on the liver function, on liver enzymes. And if we're trying to get your body to detoxify and we want the liver to process some of the poisons that are ingested with our food, we want it to not be burdened with having to process alcohol and caffeine. Okay? Caffeine has another effect. In some of us, it has a big effect on our cortisol output. When cortisol goes up, weight does not go down, it goes up. So cortisol is a hormone that is triggered by stress and by caffeine. And so it really, if you're trying to lose weight, then you got to kind of can the caffeine. Okay? If you're not trying to lose weight, then 1 cup isn't an issue if it's not impacting your blood pressure or making you anxious, not keeping you awake, then 1 cup is okay. During the detox process, though, we're going to go through a few weeks where we don't want any, and we don't want any alcohol. Long term, if you want a glass of red wine at night, I don't have an issue with that as long as you don't have liver dysfunction. Okay? But during the detox period, no. So we want to kind of come off of all of this stuff. Do we have a lot of coffee drinkers in the room?
Yeah. I've gone from 8 cups a day and I'm now down to 2.
Wow.
And it's been really hard in the beginning, like real tired and stuff, but now it's actually starting to get better. So
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so.
that's my advice, is
So-
coffee.
Wonderful, wonderful.
But I don't think of it as giving something up. I think of it as making better choices.
And you'll really like that cranberry drink, and that'll kind of become your beverage. And as the winter approaches, you want something warm. Herbal teas that are naturally caffeine-free are fine, and they're even fine on the detox. Okay, so for warmth, you're going to want that.
Well, I always drink a cup of coffee before I go to bed at night because caffeine doesn't keep me awake.
It doesn't keep you awake.
It's probably keeping
Okay.
the weight on, but it doesn't keep me awake. And I just exchanged it for sleepy time tea.
Good,
Which is
excellent,
tea.
excellent. That's what you want to do.
Seems like a better choice.
All right. I don't think any smokers in the room, right? No. Smokers usually do go down this road. So, if they can't motivate themselves to quit smoking, then making further changes, it's just, you really have to get past that point. And it's really hard because it's so addicting. But you know what? Sugar is just as addicting. So you can kind of handle one thing at a time. So, when they're trying to quit that, we're not going to put them on a diet at the same time. It's just like, no, we're just going to get off of that. So good, we don't have that issue. Week 2, we want to cut out any added sugar, and we don't want to do fruit juices because they're full of sugar, excluding that cranberry drink. All right? And then you're going to just do lots of vegetables. Okay? And as we go into the detox, and I will detail for everybody what I want them to eliminate. We're going to eliminate different things for different people. Okay? But in general, everybody's going to be eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Okay?
So we're going to read about the detox.
You
but we're
will,
not
before
gonna
you
do
get to it.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay? There's going to be a class before you
Yeah, I
embark
saw
on the
that.
detox. So what I'd like to do is to have you really get those servings of vegetables up, start eating that, come off the caffeine, start getting that daily drink in, a couple of tablespoons of flax seeds in, and start with a movement. Be mindful that laughter is really important. The deep breathing, truly, just do that. In a month, you'll be transformed. Okay? It's just really that simple. Okay? So the little list of things. So you will read then for your homework that first section, obviously the handouts we've given you today, and then this one, fruits and vegetables we haven't mentioned. This kind of pictorially tells you what is a serving. So when I tell you eat 2 to 3 servings, what does that mean? How much is a serving? So that we will put that together for us, a nice illustration of what a serving of different food types is. Okay.
And I noticed there wasn't any fruit on this week 1 and 2. Is it okay to eat fruit now?
It is. Fruit is not restricted at this point. Okay. If we're trying to lose weight, then we'll cut back on the fruit. Okay. But right now we're not restricting it. We just want to add the vegetables in, so you get used to kind of eating that. So the intro and then the food matters. The fermentation class is later this week. You will really love that. It's a young couple. They've been fermenting for several years, and they do a really nice job. They use some starters to make the vegetable ferments. If you're interested in that, they'll have those packets. They have water kefir grains, which will be fine on the detox because you're fermenting the sugar that you're putting in to make this away. The grains are eating the sugar, so there isn't much sugar left by the time you consume it. And then there are some milk kefirs, which when we're doing the detox, we're not going to be on dairy products. So if you're going to do, you can do that subsequently if dairy ends up being not an issue for you. Okay, then you can do that subsequently. So those are all things that they will present, and they'll have things for you to taste, and they'll have things. They'll have gluten-free crackers with the cheese that they make, and they'll have beverages and make even carbonated beverages. So I tend not to make my water kefir carbonated because the carbonation can be powerful. So one of our gals in the office was making carbonation, and the bottle exploded. The glass bottle exploded. That can be dangerous.
Or you eat a shards.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't have a need for carbonation there, so I'm not going there. So I just ferment it, and that's adequate. But fermenting the vegetables, you know, it's really going back in time to before, and the guys will explain, before there was refrigeration, right? So they used to ferment the vegetables. And fermenting really is partially digesting, right? Because you're introducing microbes, bacteria of different strains, some yeasts, and they're breaking down the food, so it's partially being digested. So it's easier for our gut, okay? Now, if somebody's immune suppressed, I'm not going to tell them to eat fermented foods, but if somebody otherwise is normal immunity-wise, then the fermenting is good for you. You want to start out slow, so if you decide to make fermented vegetables, you know, don't eat 2 bowlfuls at the first setting. Okay, so you eat a little bit, you know, maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon worth, and then you gradually do a little more. All right, so that will be useful. And I think if you would get through these first sections, and they're pretty short, it's more kind of what to expect and kind of giving you a little boost. You can do this, and you got to be tough and all that kind of stuff. And then after the class, if you would, after the fermentation class, start reading section 3, which is nutrition. All right, the 2 biggest sections in the binder are nutrition and fitness. So if you start on nutrition, what I'd like to see happen is if you can get through the nutrition section before the grocery tour on the 11th, you will be armed with a lot of information, because then when the dietitian goes over these things with you, you already know what does natural mean and what does grass-fed mean and what is GMO and what is organic and what is conventional. You know all that stuff, and it'll be kind of a good rephrasing. All right, so I think, so we'll just say food matters, the first documentary, the first section, the intro, and then before the grocery tour, if you would get through the nutrition section. All right, and then what I'd like everybody to do then is, before you take off, please let Tana know how you want to communicate with her and give her an update once a week. Do you want to not be bothered and send her an email to that email? Do you want to talk? Do you want to call? Do you want her to call you? You know, it's whatever works better for you. Okay? So we don't. In fact, we have this one patient. I've just been floored by this one gal. She's in the August program, and we can't get a hold of her. It's like, finally left a message for her husband. It's like, we're worried about her. She didn't answer her messages. Haven't seen her at only 2 other classes. What's going on? Is she all right? So I got a text on my phone earlier today. I'm in Florida. I'm fine. Thank you. We'll see you next week. So please reach out. You are not bothering us. That's the whole point of this. Okay? We're here to help to whatever degree you have, whatever questions you have. You know, email them, contact us, call us. Okay? And you know, whenever you have a question, I have the emails on my phone, so I'm frequently checking to see if you have it, even if it's whenever. I'll likely see it soon and get an answer back to you. We have a Facebook page. We'd like everybody to like it and put your, you know, put your feedback and talk about things and stuff. I think it's good as a group, you know, like what you talked about the caffeine. It's good for other people to hear that. It's good what you have experienced so far. It's like, oh, I found this useful. Or, hey, the flax really goes well on this, or, you know, something of that nature.
I think it would be good to make a group page like Anila did in the first 2 groups.
Sounds good.
So that they can
That you
just
can talk
between
to
them.
each other.
So
Personal,
it's not,
just with you guys.
yeah, so it's not for everyone to see.
Right.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. So you can set that up. Who else on Facebook?
Oh.
Okay, all right. It's a useful interchange, and sometimes, you know, maybe you'll set up Facebook just to do that. It's just a kind of like a closed group that you can communicate within yourselves. You can reach us through that email, but that way, if you want to reach other on that Facebook, it'll be kind of a way to share. Okay, and then if you want to just share it with us, then we can put it on Facebook for you as well. We can post it on the page. If you don't want to do that, but you have some comment or something you want to share with, you know, email it to us at that email, and we'll take care of it. Okay. All right. Questions?
Where do we buy the cranberry juice and all the
Okay.
things, like Earth Fare? Or?
Earthfare will have it. I think, where did I buy that concentrate? I think I bought it at Raisin Rack.
Giant
yeah.
Eagle has it.
Giant Eagle
pure
Pie has,
cranberry, not the concentrate.
okay.
What was
Yeah.
the first one you mentioned?
Earth Fair.
Earth Fair.
Fair.
Earth Fair.
Fair.
Where do you live, Akron or Canton?
Akron.
Akron.
Akron. So
Mustard seed.
mustard
Yeah,
seed,
it's a mustard
Oh.
seed.
there are two of them now. One,
Yeah.
both are on Market, right?
Yeah.
Right.
One is more closer to downtown Akron and one is by Fairlawn. They will have all kinds of organic produce for you.
They have a wonderful farmer's market too every Thursday from 4 to 7. Is it over now?
Is it
I know,
over?
I love going
I
there.
must have gone to the last one. Oh, that's sad.
I think the one market that continues all through the winter is the one that they have at Old Trail, which is really far for me. I never get out there.
Cleveland,
I think
do you
it's
mean, or
indoor too.
Yeah, that one's indoor. Yeah, they do it indoor then. You have
West
to do
Side
it.
Market? Is that what you're talking about?
How about the flax, where do you get the,
The ground, all right, the flax. The best thing is if you have a coffee grinder to buy flax seeds. And every, 3-4 days, grind some yourself. The reason for that is that because it's an oily substance, right, in there, the omega-3s and such, they get oxidized when they're open to air. So you lose that value. So they're actually better for you if you ground them fresh, right? Just as coffee is more aromatic and all that stuff, fresh ground. So a coffee grinder works really great to grind them up. You don't want to eat them whole because you cannot digest them. You would just poop them out straight. Okay? So you want to grind them up. Or you can buy ground flax. Grocery stores will have it, and the health food stores will have it.
They have two different, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, I think the VA put me on, I forget what it was, but I couldn't tolerate it. I don't know if it's flax or, what's some of the brands you see? Ground flax.
Yeah?
I can't even remember what they put me on.
Okay. Try it, and if it causes any trouble, then obviously, then don't do
No.
that, and we'll find something
Well,
else.
this was already ground.
Yeah,
I can't think the name of the outfit though.
okay. Maybe it was psyllium.
I don't remember.
Okay, okay. So we'll,
When we were in the health food store, there were two different kinds of flax seeds. There was golden and brown.
and brown, yeah.
Which one's, I'm on my cell phone to
I
figure
don't
out which
think
one's
one
better.
is
And
better
it
than
said
the
they're both
other.
basically the same
They're
stuff.
both basically similar. So
Okay.
if you like one better than the other, go with that one. If you don't, alternate. Alternate, right? Chia seeds are good too.
What do you put them in? Like a shake?
You can put them in your shake. You could sprinkle them on your steamed vegetables.
Because I bought them, but I just like look at them.
Oh yeah, chia seeds make an incredible pudding. Okay.
Do you ground those up too, or do you?
No. What do you do with them?
So for the pudding, it's like a ratio, I think it's like 3 tablespoons chia seeds and maybe like 1 to 2 cups of nut milk. And then you just basically, you pour it, mix them together, put it in like a glass jar and then put it in the fridge. Maybe like 1 to 2 times before, I usually do it before I go to bed. So 1 to 2 times, just go back and stir it up because
Otherwise they stick all together. So
and in
just
the
that
morning
evening.
you'll have this like thick gelatinous kind of like pudding-like substance. You can add fresh berries to it. You can add cinnamon. You can add nuts. It's delicious. I made it for her. She loves it.
yeah, that's really good. So we will be giving you fun desserts here and there that are actually good for you. But of course, if we're trying to lose weight, we want to cut sugar. So these kind of things, again, what's the sugar content here? Chia seeds and berries. We're not sprinkling sugar or honey or anything. And it's very tasty.
You said that I needed to include nuts for the omega-3s in my diet also. Is there any specific type of nut?
Nuts.
Are peanuts
Walnuts.
better than
Peanuts are not really good. I'm not a
Okay.
big peanut fan because peanuts, that little powdery stuff, some of it is what we call aflatoxin, which is a cancer-causing substance. Yeah, it's a mold that generates that. I'm not a big peanut fan. Peanut is a legume, it's not a nut. So it doesn't have the omega-3 benefit either. So you want to go with things like walnuts, pecans, almonds. Almonds are good if you soak them overnight and then peel the dark part off. Okay? Or I guess blanched almonds.
What was the second one between?
Walnut, pecans.
Oh.
There you go. And almonds.
What about
Those are-
pistachios?
Pistachios are good too. And I wouldn't vary it. Now, I prefer raw, organic. okay? It's gonna be easier on the gut, okay? You know, they say in China they have very little peanut allergy, but they eat a lot of peanuts, and that's because they boil them. We think they process their stuff differently. We roast peanuts, they boil them. They don't have any peanut allergies. We have a ton of peanut allergies. So how we process the food, I think, makes a difference too. And then, you know, of course, all our little added chemicals, like the apples, they have that shiny coating on there. There was a study done looking at people consuming apples without the coating and apples that were coated. And the people consuming the coated apples developed an apple allergy, and the others didn't. So these things in our food make us sick with things like allergies and autoimmunities. All right. Any questions? Is it clear at this point what I'm asking? Everybody should have an appointment sometime soon to be seeing me, who I haven't seen real recently. So if I haven't seen you in the last week or 10 days, you should have an appointment coming up. Check with Nicole, and we'll get things on the schedule. I think everybody has had their labs except Susan. She's going to have hers tomorrow.
Haven't had ours.
Okay, yeah, you're tomorrow too. You guys are tomorrow.
Well, Thursday.
Thursday, okay,
yeah.
Thursday morning, all right. And then you'll get your BIA Thursday then too. Okay, yeah, so, good. So we want you really to, as I said, if you follow along this, and I'm OCD, so I really would like for you to follow up. So now, if you guys will one by one, please, Tana, if you want to go around with your list of everybody and find out how they're going to contact you on a weekly basis.
Okay, can I just use
Absolutely, you can use my list.
Okay. So anyway,
Any other questions? Nope, everybody's all clear?
The fermenting, is that something that you'll ask us to have as a daily?
I think it's good if you can incorporate that at least a few times a week, if not every day. And what you'll do is you'll figure out which you're going to do. Are you going to make the water kefir, or are you going to ferment vegetables? And if you do, then you know you're going to have a little kimchi as a side dish when you eat. Okay, and you can pick different vegetables that
So
you'll
just
eat that
eating a
way.
little bit of sauerkraut isn't going to cut it?
Well, you're going to do a little variety, okay? And then most of the, you know, old sauerkraut that's been there for a long time isn't going to have the probiotics to something that you've made more fresh. Okay, so if you can maybe make the veggies a little more often than, you know, sauerkraut that was manufactured 2 years ago, it's going to have a different content. That's really not going to have any living organisms in it. It's going to be basically partially digested, but it's not going to.
So eating a big Reuben sandwich isn't going to qualify?
Not quite.
Can you buy kefir? Can't you buy it?
You can buy kefir. You can buy kefir. But, you know, again, if you do it on an ongoing basis, it gets quite expensive. And it's really easy to make it yourself. You know, don't do the milk yet, as I said, because if you have a milk issue, you're going to want to avoid that. But the water kefir you can do. Anybody can do water kefir. And, you know, and then I love the fermented veggies that they make, because I like tart things. And they're, you know, tart. So
what type of vegetables do you ferment? Like carrots or?
You can put some shredded carrots in there. Cabbage is used a lot. You can do beets. Some people put peppers in there. So you put a whole combination of things. Napa cabbage is a good cabbage to use. Bok choy is another green you can do. You can throw kale in there. What's that? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay.
These 4 items there, with or without food, or done making difference? The bottom 4. You told me to start with.
Oh, yes. So I would do those with food. So